then I talk about the flavors of dakini. So what are they? What are the 6 traits of flavors and how you can find that flavor in you, or you can connect to that flavor? That's I'm more interested in. This is not like a college class to memorize the 6 traits. No, just I want you to feel it, experience in you how the dakini quality can relate to you and your relationship to dakini, as well as your dakini quality within you. Kate entitled this event "The Dakini Within" or something like that. Yeah, dakini is everywhere, externally, internally, and also in a secret or the subtlest dimension of dakini. All are related, but what are the 6 traits and which one you can relate? Okay, so maybe I can do just one, then you tell me. Dakini said, so this book, you might have noticed, Dakini speaks. Then I ask lots of inquiries. I like inquiries. I feel like for us, questions are good. Dakini said, first she said, I am alluring to attract beings. This is very difficult to pronounce, but alluring. What does that mean to each of you? How do you find the flavor of alluring within you? And how do you feel, relate, or react to that quality? And when within that experience, what is your relationship to that aspect of yourself? So this might be one of the most difficult qualities we can find in ourselves, and also we appreciate in the world. But it came to the first. Heruka brought up this is the first. Why do we need an alluring quality or attractive? Maybe word English connotation alluring might be different from the original word, but that was the translation. More like magnetizing, attractive in quality. Maybe that might be better. Why do we need that in the world of suffering? Let's bring up this context, the relevancy of dakini's or dakini's function, gift of dakini to the world of complexity and struggle.
To me, this is probably one that I'm the most sort of uncomfortable with. I don't know if that's the Western culture, my age, or what. But to me, there's a vulnerability about the alluring nature of a dakini and this open transparency that's not afraid of attracting other people. And an inviting nature and a trusting nature at the same time, that there's a little something that you're not quite so sure of, yeah, that. So it's kind of a fun one for me to play around with a little bit.
Yeah, thanks. Good. Actually, all of these 6 qualities, we're going to explore more, of course, the rest of the qualities, but all related based on the dakini's fundamental qualities, wisdom and compassion. Dakini is an embodiment of compassion. Nature is compassion. So everything related, and also wisdom of emptiness. Everything is pervaded. Even alluring quality is pervaded by the compassion and the emptiness, insight into emptiness, understanding of emptiness, reality. Just wanted to say that. Even we say that alluring, just not simply alluring, in a sense like, I don't know, Western connotation of that. But alluring or attracting or magnetizing is one of the most important qualities. For example, teachers, Vajra masters should own, and also each of us practitioners should own to guide all sentient beings to the other shore, right? We have to have that quality. Nobody gonna listen to you, follow you, regardless of how much you practice. Maybe you ended up with self-gratifying result, not helping. So we are here to help others. No, we care others. So this is one of the most important qualities, magnetizing qualities. And alluring, as I talked in this book, so Dalai Lama was interviewed. A Westerner asked the question about whom you want to be reborn as or something like that. I want to be an attractive woman or something like that. Then in the West it became a little bit sensational. Oh, that's very bad answer or something like that, controversial. But maybe each of us can explore what that means, attractive, how we can use that attractiveness for our practice and the guiding and helping others based on our bodhicitta. Okay, let's move on to the second one. Dakini continues. I am compassionate, of course. So what's about compassion? Of course, as I said, compassion is a defining characteristic of Dakinis. If we don't have a compassion, there's no Dakini. We cannot say she's Dakini. Can you reflect back to your own experience? How can you feel this kind of compassion in your body and express compassion in the world? How can you express your compassion in the world of suffering? Of course, compassion is defined by this wishing for removing suffering or pain from all beings, including yourself. So this is a big one. Each of us has a seed of compassion. Maybe that's why you're here.
Well, what comes to me in this moment is to be compassionate is to be fearless. And the Dakini presence really encourages that fearlessness, because it's being the seer, to see into the heart of the other, and to, somewhat like the Tonglen practice, to be willing to take on that suffering and offer support and love back. And to do that, you have to be more confident in self and fearless.
So it will come. Ferocity is one of the traits, qualities of Dakini as well. Sometimes I use that word. Fierce compassion. What does compassion mean to you at this time? Or what's blocking you to be compassionate, for example? What's the stumbling block on the path of compassion?
I sort of see two scenarios. I mean, one is right off to put yourself in the other person's place. Sometimes if we see the pain and difficulty people have and understand how we would feel, and at that moment, perhaps we're lucky not to be feeling that way. It sort of leaves you could say responsibility, but a desire, because you wouldn't want to feel that way. That's, many times we know our own pain. We know what it's like when we feel pain. And so then we see that in the other person. And I think, a lot of the time it's easy for me to see myself in that place, to say, I know what it is. But sometimes if I don't feel pain in the similar situation, maybe I feel like I've risen above that. That's my blockade, because sometimes I feel like, oh, come on, what's wrong with them? And that's really, like, oh, you don't need to feel that way. But that's a blockade, but it also really should be one where you more easily feel. I can, bring perhaps a different feeling of care about that person, because I'm not caught up. I'm not drowning myself, rather than bypassing it and going, oh, I'm okay.
Good point. I mean, exchanging self for other is a practice, really challenging practice for us to really bring up genuine bodhicitta. Each of us has a tendency. We have a, escaping mechanism, either shut down or changing the subject, or trying to not to look at directly because it's hurt our feeling by looking at the news, or all these things. All things are addressed or challenged by Dakinis, those habitual patterns. I was talking about this wholeheartedness, wholeheartedly feel this pain of others. So that's maybe one way to express compassion, That could be the expression of compassion. So that compassion, fearless compassion.
Well, just as you were speaking, Kanjala, what comes up for me is the compassion, rather than, as you're saying, not avoiding, not bypassing, but can we have that capacity to really face our pain, that's really that we really feel, right? And not avoiding, but being with and befriending, welcoming, allowing, those are the words that come up, and really embodying that compassion, because we know what suffering is. We live the suffering. So it's easy to kind of other it out there, but it's really, my practice is becoming more and more, and it's really difficult to just kind of face not only what I'm seeing sort of miles away in the world, but my own activation with it and my own suffering with it too. So it's a real both and, I guess, is what I wanted to say about compassion.
Yeah, in Buddhism or in our tradition, we start to turn them to ourselves, pain of ourselves. Then again, come back to this wisdom side of it. So all these quality, compassion is embraced or supported by wisdom as well. So this suffering self is not just only me. There's a part of us, but not the whole story. We have this Buddha nature, wisdom side, completely free, freedom. We are freedom, basically, innately. We are awakened. We started to awaken to more that part. Then we become more compassionate. We have become more courageous. Dakini is showing us that power each of us possesses. Good point, self-compassion.
Sometimes this kind of compassion for others is not mutually exclusive of compassion for self. That we have to hold kind of others and ourselves with compassion in our hearts.
Right. Move on to the next one. She said, she proclaims, I am courageous, confident, powerful, and resilient. How about that? What does courageous feel like in your body? In the face of adversity, how would you express confidence and fortitude as a Dakini? Where do you find strength, resilience, and protection? So these are some of the inquiries related to courageous, Dakini's quality. This is the third qualities I'm sharing. Confidence, powerful, and resilience. If you are not courageous, you wouldn't have been here, in a sense that you wouldn't even not willing to face this kind of question about the relevancy of Dakini's power to the contemporary world of suffering.
Well, it came to my mind is if we really can identify with the emptiness that we're all part of, that connects us all in awareness, and we're never separate. And if we can really go beyond our sense of the separate self, then we do have the courage and the capacity. There's nothing holding us back, because all that holds us back is our own mind and our own thoughts about self-preservation. So it's really about embracing the reality that we all are. That's what I feel.
Well, this one, I feel like I'm still on the journey with, and what I want to say is with all that's happening in the world, when I woke up and discovered the bombs in Israel and the news, it was like my heart broke. And I felt like I wanted to go and make somebody wrong, and somebody right. And I feel like the practices and going into the practices of the Dakini in particular, the Vajrayogini, I felt like it helped me find that place that I could hold both sides, that I could hold both. And in that find, and I'm, of course, like all of us, I'm still working with finding that wisdom and holding that place. It's like the duality of the world wants to break that into halves. And I'm really finding the work with the Dakini and taking refuge in the Dakini as a way of not going there and really finding, and that's where the resilience and really and the courage to not go into that space that so many want to hold this as right and wrong. Even as I'm speaking it, it's challenging. It's a very challenging time, but I feel like it's giving us practice to do just that, to really ask the Dakini to show us the how.
Yeah, this is the time for Dakini to show us, as you said, relevancy of Dakinis. Dakini show up and pointing us to this, or maybe waking us up. We have been dreaming or sleeping for a long time. Then somehow this kind of extreme situation is the opportunity for us. It's, of course, a very sad situation, but also opportunity for spiritual practitioner to wake up.
And to wake up without it being a spiritual bypass, which is
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you.
All these qualities, still have a few more left, but all qualities, all of them come together. Then all of those qualities are within us. Then wake up to that.
You asked the question about what arises in the body. What do we feel in that body, embodied in that confidence with the Dakinis? And Khandrila, what comes up for me is I feel there's an energizing quality of fortitude. And one of the things that I take from the practices with the Dakinis that's so powerful for me is it really helps me not be in despair, right? Because I feel like I can go to that place. I'm a human being like every one of us. And having the pointing out of the larger wisdom nature of emptiness, of bliss and compassion, and feeling into the qualities of the Dakinis just really for me has been helping a lot with me sort of, the spiraling down quality, the despair that I think can arise. So I think there's a real connection between the Dakini and the practice and my sense of perseverance and strength and that fortitude that arises in that confidence with the Dakinis.
Yeah, I like to do that. Ha ha, hee hee. In the middle of this. Yeah, so amazing. She's always pointing us. Next one is maybe ha ha, hee hee. I am wild and untamed. So that's what she said. What does being wild mean to you? Can you try something you've never done before? Something outside of your comfort zone? Can you go beyond your dualistic concepts of good and bad, light and dark, and so forth? How does that feel? Where do you find your strongest preferences? Can you let go just a bit, just a little? How can you practice this abandonment or non-preference in your life? I was talking about Machik Lapton. Many of you may know, the founder of Cho tradition. And she has this so-called four abandonment. So then I questioned this one, preferences and abandonments. Each of us have a lot of preferences, but see, Dakin is one of the quality is this, untamed and wild. No preferences. Of course, preferences in a sense, we prefer to be here over something else. That's why we are here, but not that sense. How do you connect to this kind of qualities? Can you find challenging, or how do you practice non-preferences? Our tendency, discernment is very important. One of the wisdom is wisdom of discernment. But as a human beings, each of us has this Buddha nature. Sometimes judgment makes us suffer more. How do you relate to this? Are you untamed quite tamed or afraid of being wild. In the Kinney's Whisper, people are going to get quite wild, especially in the subtle body training. We explore what that feels like in our body. Sometimes our body is trapped by our concept and mind. Poor thing. Body want to express something freely, but it's like put in a cage in your body, in a little bird, caged by the concept or preconceptions or judgment or preoccupations. So this is the opportunity to really exercise this wildness or untamed. Just let your voice come out of the cage of your, this is right, this is wrong. There's not such a thing right or wrong in the Kinney's Whisper, as you can see.
I really enjoy that you said, do you feel tamed? Because just in the last couple of days, as my present experience, I'm considering a very spontaneous, life-changing move, just considering it. And when I read that, when the I am wild and untamed, I thought, I'm too tamed. And I feel the wild trying to come out of me. And I really have been feeling that in the last couple of days. And thanks to you being able to listen to my subtle body, I'm feeling that with Vajra Dakini in my core of my body, and I've never felt that before. So the question came to me today, is a different, like, subtle level of my own intuition telling me something. So what is Dakini trying to tell me? And I don't have those answers yet, but I'm feeling too tame. The wild is definitely trying to edge its way out, and I appreciate what you said.
Each of you showed up today as a connection to Dakinis. Vajrayogini is a queen of Dakinis, and all these 6 traits, she is the expression, or she is the embodiment of these qualities, and we can really embody her eventually. Then just think about it, those qualities we went over, and see how that relates to your own life and experience. I still want to explore a little bit about this wild. Dakini is wild and untamed. Do you remember that picture I showed you, the painting, Dakini painting? Does she look very wild, no? Dakini dances in the sky of emptiness, laughing at the illusion of appearances by waving her sharp chopping knife of wisdom in space. This awakening into non-duality is wild. Yet she is always light-hearted, playful, spontaneous, and creative. Dakini always acts wholeheartedly, no matter what she is doing, often surprisingly and shockingly. She knows how to grieve, rage, and rest. We can hear her wild laugh. Ha ha, hee hee. All right, so that's the thing. To be wild, I have to dance in this sky of emptiness and knowing the illusion, at the illusion of appearances. So it's play, Play, of emptiness and appearances. You can say ultimate reality and relative reality, or freedom and the suffering. So these two, you can say, the opposing. In fact, that is the two sides of the same coin. So Dakini knows exactly how to play with both and how to hold both, you can say, realities. So therefore, she became very wild, very light-hearted and wholehearted. So that's the kind of qualities. See if we can find in ourselves, or see if we can have an aspiration to cultivate in ourselves or develop in ourselves. Not just in one side, for example, relative world. Otherwise, we are drowning in the relative world, so-called samsaric world of conditioning forever. We are doomed. But you are not, you have some glimpse or you have some inclination. There's something else than just this suffering. We are doomed kind of feeling. Like you have some kind of light. That's why you are here. Maybe exploring Dakinis. Anything else in terms of being wild and untamed? How you can practice, how you can cultivate in your daily life at your own level or in your workplace, or even you want to be wild, unconventional. Are you willing to be true to yourself beyond whatever society presented?
Whenever we talk about this, I'm always reminded of when my daughter was young and would go to camp. And at camp, they always had one day that was opposite day. And, you know, with the foundation of wisdom and compassion, as you always say, that is the core of our practice. I think this idea of opposite day is a way to practice wildness with discerning wisdom. But it just, at least it kind of gets you in that, what is my habit way of handling this situation? And what might be something totally out of character for me to do?
Of course, each of us normal way of doing and the ordinary way of looking at things. So in tantric practice, as you know, two enemies are ordinary perception and the ordinary appearances. To cut through that, we need this kind of practice. Is it interesting, challenging? But these are the qualities or the great masters developed, cultivated, and woken up to their true nature. Those of you who have a spiritual practice, especially if you are on this journey, Dakini journey, you must be willing to dive into, at least explore this dimension of Dakini qualities. How can you be honestly and authentically wild and wise? Both wild and wise. Can you recognize these traits in yourself? So that can be your kind of reminder, or not the homework, but a reminder. Maybe sometimes in your daily life, stop. I'm doing the same thing again and again, or something. Maybe some moment you might have this ha kind of moment. So that's a moment I call Dakini moment. Dakini point cut through your habitual patterns. Okay, next one. I am frightening and terrifying. Dakini's behavior involves a scariness that creates a feeling of uneasiness, fear, and anxiety in us because she provokes us and pushes us to the edge of fear. She challenges our ego, ego, that tried so hard to protect us. We believe our ego is protecting us. What does it mean to each of you when you feel and express terrifying Dakini? Dakini often appears in a terrifying form. So this painting I showed was not much terrifying, but more cute. But also, you saw canine teeth and so forth. She has an expression of these qualities, terrifying qualities, expressing compassionate aggressions toward the human conditions. Perhaps we are mistaking the object of our aggression, what we are averse against. So can you relate to these qualities? Of course, Dakini appears in a peaceful form, like a white Tara, but this Dakini is in tantric context. Most of Dakini is a terrifying form. Why is that? And how you can relate to this kind of wrathful or terrifying, frightening qualities of Dakini. Yeah, this is a little bit advanced. So the more our practice become advanced, we deal with, or we can relate, we make a connection to this kind of fierce aspect. Tantra itself has this aspect, right? And tantric practitioner is a fierce bodhisattva, but this one is frightening and terrifying. Dakini appears in a peaceful form as well, but this trait is a frightening or threatening. Dakini aspect, that is an overwhelming expression of compassion. Okay, let's do a next one. Finally, with F-U-R-Y, Fury, Dakini proclaims, I'm ferocious. Are you familiar with this quality, ferocity? Can you imagine or feel that kind of ferocity in yourself? Or are you more willing to remain passive rather than directly address adversity, dispute differences, frictions, and so forth? Can you feel the velocity that allows us to enter different situations? I use this metaphors, mother. Perfect mother is a perfect dakini. All the qualities, the 6 qualities. And of course, father too, parents. It is like a mother who, completely driven by compassion, becomes very fierce and does the unthinkable. She may jump into a fast river to save her beloved child without hesitation, without even a second thought, or consider how the mother bird ferociously protects her chicks from an eagle who is trying to snatch them away. Can you feel? I mean, many of you are parents, and also you were parents, right, in your previous lives. So can you imagine? You have that quality. I can do anything for this child kind of feeling. Actually, literally unthinkable. I heard a mother can lift I don't know how many tons of the heavyweight truck to save the baby under the truck or something like that. It's amazing. Each of us has that power, ferocious, powerful energies within us if it's driven by this compassion. What's your relationship to the ferocious flavor of Dakini? How can you connect to this? Can you feel the protective, strong mother power within you? Yeah, like a mother who can lift a car off a trapped child. The tremendously awesome power of a terrified or furious mother. How can you relate to this? So this is the last trait of and the important one, important phrase, or maybe perhaps you can say the uniqueness in Dakini. So let's bring this one to the contemporary world. So in this time of conflict, injustice, war, dictatorship, and unfairness in the world, or perhaps in your own life, how can you allow the heroic energy in you to manifest in a transformative way, grounded in this wisdom and compassion? Can you feel the protective, tough mother power within you now manifesting as a ferocious Dakini to relieve all being in the world of suffering? Actually, this might be a good inquiry, something each of us can connect, contemplate. Of course, we may not have a definite answer, but then each of us here to explore. So the embodiment of this quality is in us, is immense. Here in our Dakini exploration, we are just touching the surface of the outer level of meaning, but also deeper, inner, and secret a subtlest dimension of meaning as well. Otherwise, I would like to do a short meditation. This might be a good time. Too much intellectual. Try to figure out if you are like me. I don't have answer. Actually, not answer. They're not asking you to answer. This inquiry all about like a kind of a springboard for you to explore the immense capacity each of you have. Trigger point, so to speak.